peoples, my peoples. Jaron Boots Ennis versus Teofimo Lopez. You know, that's a fight that it seemed like a possibility. Seemed like they were headed on a collision course. But, it seems like we got the unexpected news. Apparently, Boots turned down a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Is he ducking or does he just have other plans? Let's talk about it, my peoples. Y'all already know what it is. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center, your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. So yeah, man, I'm seeing it, on social media, on different YouTube channels. That it's being reported that Jaron Boots Ennis turned down a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Now, you gotta think about it. You gotta think about it, my peoples. Teofimo would be Boots' biggest opponent. That would be the biggest name in Boots' resume. And it's a fight that when I brought it up, a lot of people were saying, look, Teofimo's cap. He doesn't really want to fight Boots. Boots will destroy him, and so on and so forth. Yet, it turns out that Boots is the guy who didn't want that action with Teofimo for whatever the reason. I don't know why. Um, but he turned it down. Turned down the fight. So we have to wonder why. Does Boots or anyone in his team feel like they could take a loss to Teofimo Lopez? Why would they turn that fight down? What's going to be next for Jaron Boots Ennis? Because I tell you what, look, if he turned down a fight with Teofimo Lopez to try to make it happen with Brian Norman Jr., en route to becoming an undisputed champion, I respect that. I understand that. Or if he's trying to get the fight, with Mario Barrios, who obviously I doubt because Mario Barrios is supposedly fighting with Manny Pacquiao. So what is Jaron Boots Ennis gonna do next if he's not gonna fight Teofimo Lopez? Is it possible that maybe he fights Devin Haney? Is that a possibility? Because Bill at some point did say that they want Boots. Maybe that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, my peoples, I would have never expected for Boots to basically decline the offer to fight Shakur. To fight Teofimo. I would not have expected that, my peoples. There's some of you that I want to hear from. The people that were saying, yo, Boots is going to destroy him. Teofimo don't want that action. He's capping. I want to hear from you, my peoples. What do you think about the fact that it was Boots who chose not to fight Teofimo Lopez? Is he ducking? Are we actually going to go into that space where we start feeling like Boots is ducking Teofimo Lopez? That's crazy. That's crazy. Hello, cool guy. What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in, man. You know what it is. We talking boxing like we do. But yeah, man, Jaron Boots Ennis and Teofimo Lopez, that's a fight that I thought it was gonna happen. I thought they was gonna end up fighting each other. And I'm South Korean. Shout out to South Korea, man, and my people from Asia who's been showing me love lately. Pirate, aren't you pirate? But yeah, man, look, I thought that we were gonna get Boots versus Teofimo Lopez simply because I've been seeing Teofimo calling for that fight. Boots, I feel like, he has to raise his profile. He needs to, his star power needs to go up. And for that reason, I feel like this fight is gonna happen. But it looks like Jaron Boots Ennis doesn't want that smoke. Apparently, that's based on the reports. That's what it seems like. You look like Demetrius Johnson. Oh shit! First time I ever been told that, my brother. Um, but yeah, I wanted to see that fight. If you go back, you'll see that I've posted multiple videos about that fight. I spoke it in multiple streams about that fight. Boost versus Teofimo Lopez, to me, that's a dream fight. A fight I really wanted to see. So, I am disappointed that it looks like it's not gonna happen. Still looking forward to seeing what's next with Jaron Boots Ennis. He's a special fighter. It's a compliment. I hope you don't feel bad. No worries, my brother. I don't feel bad. No worries. I just had never been told that I look like him. That's all. Um, but again, man, look, Jaron Boots Ennis, he is a special fighter. He's someone who we expect is gonna do a lot of big things, accomplish a lot. But I am surprised and even a little bit disappointed that he turned down a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Saddam Hamlet, man, I'm upset. Really wanted that fight. I wanted it, bro. I really wanted it. And I thought it was going to happen. Once I saw, Teofimo express interest in that fight, um, I think I heard at one point Eddie Hearn say that they were in negotiations to make it happen. And His Excellency Turki Alalshikh may have also mentioned it. So to me, that fight was pretty much a done deal. And now all of a sudden, boom, it's not happening. So, and look, that's part of the sport of boxing. When it comes to the sweet science, I think you very cool guy. Appreciate it, my brother. I really appreciate that. When it comes to the sweet science, I think that, we have to see these big fights. We want to see these big fights. But at the end of the day, until a contract isn't signed, until an official announcement isn't made, we just don't know if a fight is gonna happen. We never know. We could think, yes, it's gonna happen. It's going down. This person is gonna fight that person, and then it doesn't happen. We see this a lot in boxing, where we think two guys are gonna fight each other, and then it falls through. I'll remind you, Lomachenko and Tank Davis. I thought Lomachenko and Tank was gonna fight, and then all of a sudden, Lomachenko decided that he wanted to take a break. Um, the same thing with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. When Shakur was Devin's mandatory, and the fight was going to purse bid because they couldn't agree on the purse, I thought that fight was gonna happen. I remember I posted a video saying, "Yo, Devin Haney's not gonna be able to duck Shakur. This fight is going to purse bid, and that's it. They're gonna fight." Hey, look, days before the purse bid, Devin decided that he was leaving the division and vacating the titles. So, that's the one thing about boxing. It is very unpredictable. You never really know what fights are going to happen until those contracts are signed. And even sometimes with the contract signed, things can happen. Injury, that kind of stuff. Somebody get popped for roids or shit like that. But I believe, you know, some of these fights need to happen, man. Boots versus Teofimo Lopez, that's a fight that I was looking forward to. Like, I felt like it was going to happen. But there you have it. Oliver. Dave Allen versus Deontay Wilder. Thoughts? Look, man, Deontay Wilder, obviously, he hasn't looked good in his last couple of outings. Been stopped a few times. Um, let's see. Let's see what version of Deontay Wilder we're going to get. I think David Allen, if we get the best version of David Allen and the Deontay Wilder that we've seen in his last few outings, David Allen might get him. David Allen might get him. Now, Deontay Wilder, we also have to respect the fact that we're talking about a former world champion, a guy who defended his title multiple times, who we know about Wilder's power. One punch can change everything. Come on now, we have to understand that. So he can change the outcome of the fight with that big straight right hand. But what version of Wilder are we going to see? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Sadat Hamlet, hopefully we get Teo versus Haney. I don't know, bro, because now I've been hearing Teo said in an interview that His Excellency Turki Alalshikh is like a dictator and he's not going to fight Haney under those terms or something like that. So it looks like we might not even get that one either. And to me, just yesterday, my peoples, I was talking about that. I was saying, look, Boots versus Teofimo, or Boots versus Devin Haney, or Devin Haney versus Teofimo, those are all great fights. It looks like we might not get none of those fights. Having said that, Bill Haney did say that, Devin wants to fight Boots at 147. So we might end up getting Devin Haney versus Jaron Boots Ennis. Maybe, I don't know. I think part of the problem in this whole situation is that Jaron Boots Ennis wants to become undisputed at the welterweight division, which means obviously he would want to fight Brian Norman Jr. and then the winner of Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios. And if it's not that, he may just want to go to 154. So if that's the situation he's in, maybe that's why we may not see him versus Devin and Teofimo at welterweight, because they're not champions. And he's trying to, grab the belts, become undisputed, and leave to 154. But I think it's a mistake not to fight Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, because that's what Boots needs. He needs to fight guys with big names, with accomplishments, to raise his own profile. So I believe that it is a mistake to not fight them. Kyle Wilkinson, I don't want to see Wilder go on, win or lose, whatever he does, after he simply never be the same. Also, did you hear Teo said he's been fired by Turkey? So I read about that. So the first thing is, let me answer about Wilder. Honestly, I think Wilder, has a lot of money. And, if he hasn't blown his fortune, then I think he should have just stayed retired. Don't fight no more. Don't take no more punches to the head and stuff that can cause you brain damage if you're set financially, right? And I'm concerned about Wilder because I believe maybe he's coming back because he doesn't want to retire, on a loss, having lost his last fight. Maybe he wants to retire on a win. But the concerns with that is that he could come back, win this fight convincingly or win by knockout, and now he starts feeling confident and like, oh, now I want to keep fighting. I'm going to fight a few more fights. Deontay Wilder is like 40 or nearly 40 years old. He's not a spring chicken. So, if he wins, let's say by knockout, and chooses to retire right then and there, I'm good with that. I'll be happy with that. As far as Teo saying he's been fired by Turkey, I don't even know how do you get fired. You're the fighter. How does Teofimo Lopez, being the fighter, gets fired? So, I don't know. There's little things about the way Turkey handles things that I don't like. I give him his credit for the fights that he's already made happen and the ones that he's going to make going forward, because it looks like he's directly involved in making Canelo versus Crawford. And that fight looked like it was not going to happen. If you remember, at some point, Canelo, when asked about Crawford, would say things like, well, I'm not really going to get anything out of that fight. They're gonna say he was too small. They're not gonna give me my flowers. But he changed his stance. I remember seeing a video where they asked him, and he's like, "No, Crawford is very accomplished, great fighter, and that would be a great win for my resume." So, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh has made some real good fights, but there's little things that I see that I don't like. The way that he seems to want to control fighters and control what they do, and that part of it, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that, like, I'll give you an example, guys. When guys fight champions and Turki Alalshikh fights, I've seen AJ do it. I see other fighters do it. They give them, their fighting gloves. They sign it to Turki and give it to him. Or their shorts, they give it to him. And I know for a fact, my peoples, I'm a fighter myself. I know for a fact, when people fight, they want to keep that memorabilia. They want to keep those gloves. They want to keep those shorts. They want to keep those shoes. Oh, those are the gloves I wore when I fought this person. Those are the shoes I beat this person with. Fighters want to keep that stuff. So when I see them giving it to Turki, to me it feels like they don't want to do it, but they don't really have a choice. They feel like they have to. It feels that way. Because I know fighters, they don't want to give that shit up. I know. And the same thing with the pictures. Like when Turki gathers up the fighters to take a picture with him in the middle. So I don't know. I don't know, how is he personally. I only see the little things I see on TV. But it does look like he's someone who's an authoritarian. He wants to be the authority. He wants to, I'm the one that calls the shots. I'm the one that say how things are going to go. And that aspect, I don't like. I don't like that. Kyle Wilkinson, agreed. He definitely seems like a dictator, in my opinion. Yeah, it looks like it. The way that he moves, the way that he acts, and everybody's not gonna be down with that. Everybody's not gonna accept, that type of attitude. Maker, my brother is up. Live early, early. Salute. Salute, my G. You already know, man. We doing it real early in the morning, going on live with y'all before I even go on my run. Kyle Wilkinson, what's the situation to be on him? And look, and I'll give you an example. This is one of those situations that bothered me about His Excellency Turki Alalshikh. When Dmitry Bivol beat Arthur Beterbiev, he was mandated to fight David Benavidez. I forgot by which sanctioning body. And I felt like that was the right fight to make. We've already seen 24 rounds of Bivol and Beterbiev. And those fights, although they were very exciting, they were very similar. Both of those fights played out almost identical. Bivol edged out the first one. Beterbiev edged out the first one. Bivol edged out the second one. I think the third fight will look very similar. It will be very close, very competitive, and the winner is going to edge it out, a close decision. I would have Bivol winning the third fight. So rather than watching 36 consecutive rounds between Bivol and Beterbiev, I would have preferred to watch Bivol and Benavidez fight for the first time, for all the marbles, for undisputed. And His Excellency Turki Alalshikh got in the way of that fight. And I still remember when it was announced that Benavidez was now the mandatory, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh said that he was not interested in that fight. I didn't like that at all. Because now he's, injecting what he wants to happen. And then Bivol being, apparently faithful to His Excellency Turki Alalshikh, he preferred to vacate the title, avoid that fight with David Benavidez, and do the trilogy. So that's one little thing right there. There's a few little things that I'm looking at Turkey like, he's doing positive in boxing, but he's also doing some things that I don't like. Maker. Even Chris Eubank Jr. says something like, Turkey gets what he wants. Makes it almost seem like they're trapped in some way. It's weird vibes sometimes. Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I remember when Tank Davis said that, it looked like they got something weird going on over there. And it hit me. When he said that, it really hit me because I myself have been thinking about that. Like, the way that Turkey moves. And remember, I don't know if y'all remember, at first, his relationship with Canelo Alvarez started off real rocky. Because if y'all recall, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh said, Canelo is going to do what I say if he knows what's good for him. He's going to take this offer if he knows what's good for him. And Canelo didn't like that. Canelo was like, nah, I don't need Turkey. I don't need him. I'm good. And then, they were able to hash up their differences, talk, and work it out. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, one thing that I find interesting is that this whole league between Turkey and Dana White is not really being spoken about like that. And I told people, when the moment they decided that they were going to have their own belt, that league seemed problematic to me. It seemed like, that's a problem. You're going to have your own belt in your own league? What boxers are going to go to your league? What boxers are going to want to fight for the Turkey belt? That belt don't got no history behind it. Kyle Wilkinson, 100%. As a promoter, your job is to protect and promote your fighters and make the fighters the people want to see, not yourself. That's what I'm talking about, my guy. It's about the fans. What fights do we want to see? And you know what? To be honest, I know that he didn't want to make the fight with Bivol and Benavidez because Benavidez is a PBC fighter. Benavidez is not on their roster or down with them. But Beterbiev and Bivol both are working directly with Turkey. So it's almost looking like some whole side of the street shit situation going on where, well, if you're not down with us, you're not going to fight our guys. It looks like Turkey pulled the Al Heyman on David Benavidez. Like, nah, you're on that side of the street. We don't care about fighting you. That's what it looks like. But do the fans want to see Dmitry Bivol and David Benavidez fight each other? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, the fans want to see that fight. I think sometimes promoters should simply allow fighters to dictate who they're going to fight. And I say sometimes because everybody's not fighting at that highest level. Everybody's not fighting world championship caliber type of fighters. So I get that some matches just need to be set up and you fight the opponent that the matchmaker got you. Cool. But there's fighters that are operating at a certain level where they should be able to fight whoever they want. Dmitry Bivol and David Benavidez should be able to choose each other. I want him. Yes, I want him. Let's fight each other. And that won't happen. We might actually never get Bivol versus Benavidez. And that sucks. Because who doesn't want to see that fight? And look, that's why I tell people fighters should stick to signing very, very short-term deals. Because you sign a short-term deal, you want this fight, and they don't make this fight for you, cool. As soon as my deal is up, I'm out of here. Sign 1 or 2 fight deals, and that's it. That way, if I want to fight that dude over there, and you don't want to get me that fight, cool. I'm going to finish my deal with you and get the hell out of here and go make that fight myself. Because when you sign a long-term contract, 4 fights, 5 fights, 6 fights, yo, they could keep you from fighting somebody the rest of your career signing long-term contracts. Mr. Cayo, same with the Canelo Benavidez situation. I mean, I think that Canelo Benavidez situation is a little bit different simply because Canelo doesn't want to make that fight. So now, when you have a fighter who doesn't want to fight somebody, you can't really force him. Can't really make them fight somebody they don't want to fight. So that I understand. But, as far as two fighters wanting to fight each other and somehow a promoter or a manager or whoever decides that they don't want to make that fight, I don't like that. I don't like that. They should, when two guys want to fight each other, they should be able to fight each other. That's my personal perspective on it. Now, to give you an example, we got the whole situation with Teofimo Lopez and Jaron Boots Ennis. I thought that fight was going to happen. And Turkey wants it to happen. Eddie Hearn wants it to happen. So as of right now, I don't know the details yet because I just found out about this. But as of right now, it looks like Boots is ducking Teofimo. It actually looks that way. Now, is that the reality? I don't know yet. I'm going to be looking into that today. But I thought that Boots versus Teo is a fight that was going to happen. When I saw Teofimo calling him out, I saw Eddie Hearn saying that they're in negotiations. I think I seen Turki Alalshikh also say that they want to make that fight happen. I was like, okay, the planets are aligned. This is going down. If you guys seen my lives recently, you know that I spoke about this and I posted a video about this as well. Couple of videos about Boots and Teofimo. Well, woke up today to find out that Boots turned that fight down. Or at least that's what they're saying. I've seen it in multiple platforms, multiple YouTube channels, talking about Boots turning down that fight. Are people going to say that Boots duck Teofimo? We got to see. Mr. Cayo, Boots most likely going to go to 154. We're going to see, my brother. Because if he turned down Teofimo Lopez and he fights again at the welterweight division, it's not going to be a good look. Now we're going to be saying, oh, he ducked. But, here's the curveball. We already know that Boots wants to become undisputed at the welterweight division, which means he would have to fight Brian Norman Jr. and the winner of Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios. So with that in mind, I would understand why he turned down Teofimo Lopez, but he's not fighting Brian Norman Jr. next. And Mario Barrios, Manny Pacquiao already announced that he's fighting him. So if you're not going to fight a unification showdown, then why not fight Teofimo Lopez if it's not a unification? Rakumar, please keep me with you. All right, my brother, we keeping you in the building. Let's talk boxing. What you got for me, Rakumar? But yeah, my peoples, I'm super surprised and disappointed to find out that Boots versus Teofimo is not happening next. I'm disappointed. And to find out that Boots is the one who turned that fight down, I was not expecting that, my peoples. I wasn't expecting it. I was thinking, yo, look, this fight is going to happen. And the reason I feel like that fight should happen is because, think about this. Even today, people still ask who Jaron Boots Ennis beat. Who he beat. They ask that question because as of right now, Boots is already a unified champion. He has over 30 wins. Wait, he got like 31 wins? Yet he still doesn't have, those big name opponents in his resume. Teofimo Lopez would have been exactly that. That's what Teofimo Lopez would have been. A big name on his resume. If he wins. If he wins. That if you see Teofimo Lopez chasing Boots and Boots turns down the fight, what does it look like to us? What does it look like? Maker. Yeah, those are interesting moves by Boots, even though I think Boots wins versus Teo. Raw Dog, why Boots say no? That's the magic question, my brother. I'm going to be doing a little research today. I'm going to be looking into that, see if I could ask some people some questions, because it just doesn't make no sense to me. Boots is the bigger, the physically bigger guy, the stronger guy. Teofimo Lopez will be the guy moving up to challenge him. Boots would definitely be the favorite if they fought each other. I really don't understand why Boots would turn it down. I don't understand it, my brother. And Maker, a lot of people agree with you, as far as seeing Boots winning that fight. I had people just in yesterday's stream. I spoke about Boots versus Teofimo, and I had people telling me that Boots will knock him out. Boots will destroy Teofimo. And look, he declined to fight him. Maker, sometimes promoters pretend the fights won't happen as part of their promo strategy. Like failed negotiations, fighters don't sign, then boom, all of a sudden, the fight is on. I would love it to be that, bro. I would love it to be that. Although I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why. Teofimo Lopez already spoke about His Excellency Turki Alalshikh. I think it was yesterday he said that Turkey fired him. And, I think once you start speaking out against somebody and talking negatively, you already broke down negotiations by doing that. So, Turkey does business with Eddie Hearn, with Boots, and if Teofimo's gonna have a problem with Turkey, I think that fight is already gonna be off the table because of that. I will say, my peoples, I am extremely disappointed. I don't want to say that Boots duck Teofimo, but right now that's what it's looking like. I want to see who Boots is going to fight next. If he's going to move to 154 for his very next fight, then I'm not going to say he ducked. Because, hey, he leaving the division. I'm not going to say he ducked if he's going to leave the division. If he's going to fight Devin Haney, that's a big fight. I'm not going to say he ducked. But if Boots is going to fight, somebody we never heard of, if he's going to fight some European guy with a good record but with nobody on his resume that we ever heard of, if he does that, then I'm going to say, yeah, he ducked Teofimo Lopez. And y'all know Teofimo is a fighter who has a lot of haters. A lot of haters. There's some stuff that I don't like about him. That racist shit he be on, I hate it. But I'm not a Teofimo Lopez hater. And I respect his talent, his accomplishments. And I will tell you, there's a lot of people that will not acknowledge that Boots ducked Teofimo Lopez. But we got to see where this goes. He declined it. And Teofimo's trying to make the fight. Moni Johnson, if Boots' next fight isn't with a belt holder, then he ducked. That's what I'm talking about. Now we got to keep in mind, Barrios is already locked in to fight Manny Pacquiao. So the only belt holder is Brian Norman Jr., who's going to be fighting in June. So if Brian Norman Jr. wins that fight, which I expect him to, we should get Boots versus Brian Norman Jr. And I've said that's the biggest fight at the welterweight division because they'll be unifying 3 titles right there. That's the biggest fight in the division to me. But I agree with you, my brother. If he's not fighting for a belt, you duck. Unless he's finally moving up to 154. I'm not gonna say he duck. If he moves up to 154, because I know, even though they don't say it, but I know it's gotta be tough for Boots to make weight at 147. So if he's gonna, decline that offer to fight Teofimo Lopez, but he's gonna fight at 154 next, I'll give him a pass. If that's the way it's going down. Maker. If Boots duck anything, it's the weight cut. I'm not a Boot fanboy, but that drain is brutal. What about Boots versus Madrimov at 154? I think Boots versus Madrimov at 154 will be a good fight. You see, here's the thing. Because a lot of people are linking Boots with Virgil, right? And Virgil Ortiz fought Madrimov. I don't think if Boots goes to 154, he should fight Virgil Ortiz next or right away. Why? Because remember, Virgil Ortiz is not a champion. If Boots move up to 154 to fight Virgil, what they're going to do? They're going to fight a 10-rounder? They're going to fight an eliminator? No. The best option would be for Virgil to grab a title at 154, so when Boots moves up, they'll fight for that title. He'll defend versus Boots. Or Boots moves up, grab another title, and they'll fight in a unification bout. But not to move up and fight for nothing when neither one of them is a champion. So I like Boots versus Madrimov, or even Boots versus Bakram. I think that's a real good fight too. We have to see. We have to see if he goes to 154. If Boots don't fight Bohachuk, Bakram, or Virgil Ortiz at 154, I don't want to see it. I like him fighting Bakram and Bohachuk. Like I said, Virgil at 154, I don't want to see it just yet because I want that to be a title fight. Boots versus Virgil, I think that could be built to be a mega fight, a huge one. And for that to be the case, at least one of them has to be a champion. Maker, yeah, he needs an adjustment fight at 54. Mr. Kayo, yeah, it don't make sense or money. Yeah, I say, Boots and Virgil Ortiz. Right now, I don't think that there's anyone that's going to beat them if they wait a year to fight each other. I think that year they'll still get to each other undefeated. But still, man, the whole situation with Boots declining a fight with Teofimo Lopez throws me off. It really throws me off because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting Boots to turn down a fight with nobody who has a name, who has a resume, who's going to make his resume skyrocket. So, Mr. Kayo, facts. I'll tune in to those two fights for sure. But we on the same page. Look, I would watch those fights too. At the welterweight division, I think that Boots should fight either Brian Norman Jr. for that belt or Teofimo Lopez. But that fight, it looks like it's going to be off the table. So if he's not going to fight Teofimo Lopez, get yourself Brian Norman Jr., pay him. Talk to Eddie Hearn. Pay him his money because Boots versus Brian Norman Jr., it's a fight that was going to happen. They were already in negotiations. They just couldn't agree on the money. But Brian Norman Jr. looked spectacular in his last fight. Didn't even wait that long. He's already fighting again in June. His stock is going up. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Pay Brian Norman Jr. and get the fight with Jaron Boots Ennis. Unify those 3 titles. That's the direction I think they should go in. If Teo goes to 147, who does he fight? Honestly, my brother, I'm not sure because, I know that he's trying to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. But then after that, I honestly don't know who he wants to fight in that division. He's trying to fight the big dog. Maybe he fights Conor Benn. if Conor Benn moves back down to 147. Because we don't know what Conor Benn is going to do just yet. I know that they had already agreed on a rematch with Chris Eubank Jr., but he spoke about the possibility of moving back down to 147 to fight Ryan Garcia. Well, Ryan Garcia recently lost to Rollies. Could he go back down to 147 to fight Rollies or to fight Boots? We got to wait and see. Maker, does Rolly got a belt at 147? No, my brother. Right now, you got to remember, Rolly and Ryan Garcia, neither one of them was a champion. I think he might have like some one of those secondary trinkets and shit, but Rollies doesn't have a major title at 147. Those belts are held by Jaron Boots Ennis has two of them, Mario Barrios has one, and Brian Norman Jr. has the other one. Right now, Rollies might end up being the mandatory for Jaron Boots Ennis, because they had even said that Ryan Garcia was going to be mandated to fight Boots, but he lost. So Rollies might be mandated. Maker, doesn't Rolly? Nah, he don't got one. Mr. Kayo, supposedly the WBA. Yeah, but that's probably some one of those secondary titles and shit. Rollies does not have a major title right now. Maker, Boots versus Ben would be dope. I would love that fight. Jaron Boots Ennis versus Conor Benn is a fight that I would love to see. And Conor Benn has called out Boots in the past. He said he want to fight Boots. And that's easy to make that fight. Conor Benn and Jaron Boots Ennis are both with Matchroom. They're both with Eddie Hearn. I would love to see that fight. And throw Blair Cobb in the mix too. I like Blair Cobb versus Jaron Boots Ennis. I like that fight. We could even throw Keith Thurman in there. Keith Thurman versus Boots. Make that fight happen. But I don't think Keith wants to fight Boots. And I've been hearing little rumors here and there about a possible matchup between Errol Spence and Keith Thurman, which I'd like to see it. But I will say, above all, I'd like to see Errol Spence stay retired because of the type of beating that he took to Terrence Crawford. Should he choose to come back, I'll support him. If he chooses to come back, I support him. And, I think that Errol Spence, his boxing skills are going to be what they are. His boxing skills are going to be what they are. But I'm concerned about his punch resistance. I'm concerned about, him taking nasty punishment and how he'll react to that. Maker, Blair versus Teo would have a wild promo and lead up to the fight. Oh my God, that would be chaos. That would be chaos. Blair with all his shit talking, and then Teofimo and his father. Them press conferences would be a circus show, bro. And we all gotta tune in. MP, just don't fight the top guys. Mr. Kyle, I look at the fight different now. He's still top 5. MP, who are you referring to, my brother, as far as top 5? Who are you referring to? But again, my peoples, I'm super, super disappointed that we won't get to see Teofimo Lopez and Jaron Boots Ennis. I'm really disappointed when it comes to that. MP, Errol Spence, I'm going to have to disagree with you, my brother. Top 5, I don't see Errol Spence as top 5 right now, and here's why. We're talking about 2 years of inactivity. That's a long time, my brother. 2 years of inactivity, and Errol Spence is, 34 years old right now already? 35 maybe? So, 2 years of inactivity in your mid-30s, that's a lot. For me to, say Errol Spence is top 5, I got to see him fighting again. And I got to see where he's at. But he took a nasty beating, got stopped, and has been out of boxing for 2 years. So I can't place him in the top 5, my brother. And P, okay, bro, yes, makes sense. But let's say Errol Spence comes back to fight a tough fight. Keith Thurman, for example, and he beats him. Now we got to see where Errol Spence is at, because that's going to be a big win for him. If he comes back and wins big, then we got to see where we're placing him at. But right now, I don't know yet where Errol Spence is going to be at when he step in the ring. Mr. Cayo, the Spence versus Thurman fight can be made, but it's overage. One time still looks good and fresher. That's the one thing. I think it's a fair fight to make because both of them, they're close to the same age. They've both experienced a lot of inactivity in the last few years, right? So it's not like one of them been fighting a lot and the other one hasn't. But Keith Thurman at least got his tune-up in. You guys remember Keith Thurman fought recently, not that long ago. So I think Errol Spence, in my opinion, he should come back for a tune-up. I know he's always said, no tune-ups. We don't do tune-ups around here. But, bro, you've been out of boxing for 2 years. You've been inactive. You ain't fighting nobody. You took a nasty beating in your last fight. A tune-up would definitely be the way to go. That's my opinion right there. Errol Spence should do a tune-up, come back, maybe even get an easy fight, win, look good, even win by knockout, get that confidence going, and then step up to fight, a Keith Thurman, a Blair the Flair, or somebody who's already, doing it. Maker, I think Thurman is on the decline for sure. I mean, look, I got to tell you, my brother, Keith Thurman, I have been kind of disappointed with him just because of so much inactivity. But if you looked at his last fight, he looked real good, man. Looked real good. Keith Thurman looked sharp. I know that the guy he fought, young kid, not a lot of experience, decent fighter. But Keith Thurman looked real sharp. Real good. He looked like the old version of Keith Thurman. Letting them hands go, combination punching, his punch placement, his accuracy. He was good. He looked good, man. He looked like the old Keith Thurman. So, we got to see. The only thing is that Keith Thurman is plagued by inactivity. So, he looked good, but when is he going to fight next? Are we going to see Keith Thurman wait another 2 years to get in the ring? Or is he going to fight soon? Hopefully, he's not going to go back into that inactivity wave where we don't see Keith Thurman until 2026 or some shit like that. But Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence, I think that is a good fight to make. If I was Errol, though, I would do a tune-up first. Do a quick tune-up, get an easy win, and fight Keith at the end of the year. That's what I would go with. Mr. Cayo, Thurman came back better. Hadn't seen a comeback from Errol yet. But fact is, if he come back and beats Thurman, it's still a good look. They also fought similar opponents. I agree with you 100%. If Errol Spence can come back and beat Keith Thurman, that's a great win for his resume. That's another champion under his resume. Mr. Cayo beat the shit out of him, though. Yo, Thurman beat the shit out of Buddy. Knocked him out brutally. MP, I would pay to see Thurman Spence. Yo, that's a good fight. Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence is obviously it's not as big as what it would have been when they was both undefeated, when holding titles and all that good stuff. It's not as big as it was then, but it's still a big fight. People will tune in. I will tell you, though, that fight did not happen when it should have because of Keith Thurman. He's the one. I'll remind y'all that Errol Spence, before he became a champion, he was trying to fight Keith. And Keith was like, nah, he ain't fight nobody. He ain't beat nobody. Come talk to me when you get a title. Then Errol Spence finally got a title, and now Keith went back to, well, he got a title, but who he beat, he didn't really fight nobody. We don't care about him. So it's like Keith Thurman never really wanted to fight him. And then after Errol Spence had 3 titles, his name recognition was like this. His stock skyrocketed. Now Keith wanted an opportunity. After he had already lost to Danny Garcia and he wasn't a champion. Now he was like, yeah, I want to fight Errol. I want to fight Errol. And Errol Spence was like, you know what? You didn't give me an opportunity when you was a champion. Now I'm not giving you an opportunity. Go kick rocks. And I understood that. I even told people, I was like, you know what? If I was Errol Spence, I would have did the same shit. I would have did the same shit. Like, you didn't give me a shot. You can't have one now, buddy. Hold that. But now, the situation is different for both of them. Neither guy is a champion. Both guys have taken the first loss of their career. And now, they both have experienced a lot of inactivity. So this time, that fight can be made. And it's still an interesting matchup. I would still want to see, I don't want to see it as bad as I wanted to see it when they was both undefeated champions and all that good stuff. But it's still a good fight. And it's an explosive fight. Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence is an explosive fight. It's one of those that you're going to get fireworks. Mr. Cayo, I wish Thurman was more active too. Keith Thurman is a very talented fighter, but one time has turned into sometimes. Maker, Thurman, Blair, Teo, mix any of them up and you got entertainment. That's a fact. I like all of those fights. The same if you think about Jaron Boots Ennis, Brian Norman Jr., Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney. Any way that you mix those up, those are great fights. Those are fights I want to see. Mr. Cayo, facts, and then Errol gave him the same treatment. That's what I'm talking about. Keith Thurman didn't want to give him an opportunity when he was a champion and Errol didn't have a belt. Errol did the same thing to him. Like, yo, you ain't a champion. I can't fight you now. Go kick rocks. I would have did the same thing. But that's why now it's a perfect time for them to fight each other. They don't like each other. They already have history. They could have fought but didn't. I think it is very intriguing. Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman because of, what's happened between them two. MP, how was Ituma KO? Yo, listen. That knockout was brutal. That was a brutal knockout. You got to see his knockout power. I will say, although Itama looks real good, they do not need to rush him. I heard something that Frank Warren said that I agree with, and I liked it. Frank Warren said that they could have got him a title shot. He said we could have, got him a title shot. But I want him to master his craft, perfect it. So they're still, in that development process. They're taking their time, and I agree with it. You don't have to rush a fighter. Just because a guy looks good or explosive or, has those attributes that you see in a star, you don't have to rush him right away and throw him in there with a champion. Then Itama gets knocked out by some of these guys and everything changes. You don't need to do that. No rush. Maker, Errol don't even got a coach right now, right? To my understanding, after he fired his coach, he hasn't hired a new one. To my understanding. I know that he supposedly spoke with a few different coaches, but right now, to my understanding, he doesn't have one. So, but that's easy money. When you're a fighter of Errol Spence's caliber, getting a coach, that's not going to be tough. MP, he is sharp. Itama versus Parker would be nice. That's a fight. That's a heck of a fight. But I tell you what, my brother, I wouldn't match him up with Parker just yet. And I only say this because Parker, yo, he's a seasoned vet. Been in there with some big dogs. Itama hasn't been there with the big boys yet. So, Parker would be a huge step up fight. And the thing that is dangerous about the heavyweight division, we all know it. It just takes one punch to change the fight. One punch could even change a fighter's career. So that's why I think that with Itama, they should take their time. If it was me, I'd give him one more whole year. He's not fighting for a title until mid or late 2026. Give him 3 more good fights. Slowly stepping up in competition. And he could be a superstar. Itama could be a superstar. But I don't think that they should rush him. Mr. Kayo, Jared Anderson fell off the face of the earth after getting hit with Thurman-like uppercuts from Bacoli. Look, I'm going to tell you like this, Mr. Kayo. When it comes to Jared Anderson, I'm super disappointed in him. I'm off that bandwagon, And look, I've been off the Jared Anderson bandwagon for a couple of years now, and here's why. I still remember when he came out in an interview saying that he doesn't care about belts. He doesn't care about titles. It's about money. He's making money. The moment he said that, I said to myself, this guy doesn't have the discipline to go all the way. He doesn't have what it takes. He has the talent, very talented fighter, but he doesn't have the discipline. That mindset, I don't care for titles, it's about the money, that's the wrong mindset to have. This guy hasn't even seen money like that. He's seen money if you compare him to somebody that's broke, but Jared Anderson hasn't seen millions of dollars. He hasn't fought, for $10 million and $20 million. He hasn't seen money like that. So why are you even talking about, it's about money, it's about money? You ain't seen money. So I feel like he doesn't have the discipline to be that guy that we thought he was going to be. And look, he already took and even the way that he took his first loss, he didn't look like a guy who's hungry. Right after the loss, we good. I'm still going home to my family. We making money. Yeah, we happy. What? He didn't even look hurt that he lost. So I just don't think he got this. He has the talent, but he don't got this. He don't got the heart. He don't got the balls. My perception. No disrespect to him, but I just don't see him as that guy that has this to go all the way. Raw Dog, I think coaches are gonna demand Spence pay up front from here on out. Could be. With that situation that he had, it could be. MP, there's that youngest heavyweight champion thing. Yeah, my brother, but that youngest heavyweight champion thing, don't go chasing for that, man. You might get knocked out and be the youngest one to not make it when we thought you was. Mr. Kayo J. Smith, the fact checker for real. Bacoli versus AJ would be nice too. I would love that fight. Bacoli versus AJ. I'm telling you, Mr. Kayo, I'm a fact checker. If you notice, my brother, I don't make stuff up. I don't cap. I don't assume. I work with the facts. Hey, double tap y'all screen real quick. Hell yeah, my brother. Appreciate it. Hit that like button, my peoples. Y'all already know, man. Don't treat me like I'm a C-level fighter out here getting pummeled. I'm out here delivering knockout punches. Boom, 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 boom. Right through. But yeah, man, I'm going to reiterate. Super disappointed that Jaron Boots Ennis turned down the fight with Teofimo Lopez. I was looking forward to that one. I thought that this fight was going to happen. I could never picture Boots turning down a fight versus a big name, and it happened. It finally happened. Boots turned down a fight, and it looked like he may be ducking. I'm not willing to say that he's ducking yet. I'm not willing to say that he's ducking simply because I want to know, is he going to try to fight Brian Norman Jr.? Is he going to leave to 154? Let's see. But right now, it's very suspicious that Boots declined to fight Teofimo Lopez. Raw dog. Once Jared said he was only 23 and not fighting out of love, I wasn't a believer. Yeah, he said a few things that told me, nah, man, this guy, he got his talent and he's doing his thing, but he's not gonna be able to beat the best of them. He's not gonna climb all the way to the top with that attitude. So, I don't know. Jared Anderson, I think he's gonna be a good heavyweight. He's not gonna be one of the best. He's not gonna be, the guy who's going to win titles, unify titles, become undisputed. Jared Anderson, I don't see him doing none of that shit based on his own attitude. Lee Montoya, Boots, duck. You see what I'm saying? Look, Lee Montoya, I'm not even knocking you for saying that because a lot of people going to say that. He could have fought Teofimo Lopez next and declined that fight. It looks like a duck. Maker, I'm out, y'all. Appreciate the live stream, Jay Smith. Enjoy the run, and y'all stay healthy. Yo, Maker, have a good morning and a good rest of your day, my brother. Bam, catch you on the next one. So, Lee Montoya, look, I'm going to just say this. Right now, I'm not calling Boots a duck because I want to see what's next. But he does look like a duck. You're turning down a fight with the guy that will be the biggest name in your resume. You're turning down a fight with the guy that will be the most accomplished fighter in your resume. Not a good look. Not a good look. MP, great seeing Manny back in the gym. Would have been nice if he went for the Ugas rematch. I'm not gonna agree with you on that one, MP. And the reason I say that is because Ugas isn't a champion right now. He's been inactive. So, I in a way I like the idea of a rematch with Manny Pacquiao trying to avenge his loss. But the way that fight played out, I don't think he could win the rematch. Ugas, with his height and reach advantages and movement, I think that the fight will play out the same way. So if he comes back for a rematch and loses that, it's pretty much over. Like, what are you doing? You shouldn't. Everybody's gonna say you should have never came back. But with Mario Barrios, a guy that he's never fought, there's a possibility that he can win that fight. So I think, and not only that, he's trying to make history, trying to become the oldest champion ever. He's already the oldest champion at the welterweight division. So, it's cool. I see him trying to make history. We're going to find out if it was the right decision. If he just get beat up out there and looks bad, then it was the wrong decision. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. My peoples, I'm about to end this live. I want to give a shout out for you guys for tuning in. Mr. Cayo, Lee Montoya, MP, Raw Dog, Maker, and everybody else who came through, man. I really appreciate you guys joining me. Y'all know how we do, man. We talk boxing. This is the sweet science. This is what we love. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center. This is your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. God damn, bro. I've been live with y'all for an hour, and I got 8 likes. Y'all be doing me dirty sometimes, man. God damn, my people. 8 likes in an hour? Shit. But I forgive y'all because we all love the sweet science. Y'all already know, my peoples, at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be live again, and we're going to be talking about this. I'm going to be doing a little bit of research to find out, see if I can find out why Boots turned down that fight with Teofimo Lopez, and I could give you guys an update later at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all already know, my peoples. Jay Smith in the building, your favorite boxing show. This is Box Center, man. We headed for the #1 spot. Box Center is going to be #1 boxing channel on YouTube, in planet Earth, in this galaxy. In the universe, even the aliens ain't gonna have a better boxing channel than Box Center, my peoples. Y'all already know what it is, man. Peace and love to everybody who tuned in. Bam. Nos fuimos, mi gente. I'm out of here.